Welcome back to another episode of the Dear Fathers Podcast. I'm your host, James Meeks. And before we get into it today with our dope guest, I got to tap in my boy, see how he's feeling today. Jesse, how you doing today, bro?
Bro, I'm good, man. This season has been great so far. I'm loving the guests that we've been having on. James, me and you, big basketball fans. So I'm excited about this guest, not only for his basketball career, but what he's doing now in the podcast space with us also having a podcast. I'm looking forward to chopping it up. So
Definitely. I think today's conversation is going to be really dope, man. So to get into it, we like to welcome former NBA player, current co-host of the Knuckleheads Podcast, and an amazing dad, Quentin Richardson, to the Dear Fathers Podcast. Q Rich, how you feeling today, family?
I'm good, man. Appreciate you fellas having me on.
Man, we appreciate you jumping on, man. And when we get these conversations started, we like to take it back, man. We know present day what you got going on, and we'll get there too. But we want to take the people back, get a better understanding of you. And with the conversations that Jesse and I often have on the pod, we typically talk to guys who grew up in single family households, and it's usually they're raised by their mom or their mom and dad were together. They split up. Dad's not really around as much, or dad might not be around at all. But for you, we want to go back because we know you have a different dynamic and background, given that you lost your mother to cancer at an early age, man. So take us back to where you grew up, and then, what it was like for you losing your mom and then being with your pops like 100% of the time and not having her there to kind of guide you as you kind of shifted off into the world.
Man, Chicago, South Side, wild 100th, 115th and Parnell, Roseland area, Cooper Park, where where my grandmother stayed, where I really, hung mostly outside of my neighborhood. But yeah, man, 12 years old. To say the least, it was a rough stretch. And it was about a span of 6, 7, 8 months, maybe. I lost my grandmother first. I lost my brother first. My brother Bernard got shot and killed. Then I lost my grandmother. She died from natural causes. She was much older. And then my mother passed last. So that was probably the most impactful, because I was definitely a mama's boy. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. Pops went to work and brought home the bread. But that was a huge adjustment for me, because immediately from that standpoint, once she passed, because my pops would be, he was punching the clock 4 a.m. 4 a.m. not getting back home to around 4 or 5. So, you know what I'm saying? He drove public transportation in Chicago, the CTA-L train. So did that for 39 years. So, he's where I get the whole work ethic and everything from. I saw it literally every day, with my own eyes, and he definitely instilled that in me as well. But back then, man, when that first happened, it was like, as a 12-year-old, I knew it hurt. I knew I was, going through something, but I had no clue of the capacity and how big it was as you look back on it when you were, an adult. But my sister stepped up in a major way, because, like I say, for the most part, my pops right now still my pops. Like, he come to my house like, man, what's this? What's that? Like, that's just who my pops. He'll never not be that. But like, for the times where he would be at work and things like that, that was when, my sister, she was more hands-on, and she was supposed to be in college, and she was going to Chicago State / DePaul and had 2 jobs. So she was doing a whole lot to, kind of keep tabs on me too. But yeah, man, that was probably, like, at that point, the toughest year of my life, probably period, toughest year of my life.
Yeah, man, that's deep, man. And just, shout out to your family for coming together and making sure that, you guys can make it through it. And you mentioned, losing your brother. And I know you had another brother who was off in the military. So explain to us, like, the family dynamic. Were you the youngest child? How many siblings did you have?
Youngest child. I had 4 siblings. My oldest brother is Cedric, and my second oldest brother was Bernard, but they were from with my father and his former wife.
Oh, okay.
So then it was my oldest sister is Rochelle, and then Lee Jr. was with my mom and dad. So we all lived in the same house. My oldest 2 brothers were out of the house. They were older by then. So, you know what I'm saying? I had a relationship with them, but they would come and go, but they didn't live under the same roof with me. So Bernard was the one who got killed when I was 12, and then Lee got killed when I was 25, when I was with the Knicks, when I was 25.
Got you.
Yeah, no, man. It's just crazy to hear that was your path. And I'm curious about two things. One, I know you said your pops was always working. So like, did you ever feel like he was missing something when he got off? Did y'all, hoop in the backyard? Did y'all play together, do different things like that? Or was it just like
See,
he just brought home the bread?
Nah, see, my mom put the ball in my hand. My mom played for Marshall High School. She won a city championship with Dorothy Gators back when she played. So she was the athlete. My pops didn't play any sports. He got into sports once he started watching me play. So I'm with him working, I didn't miss nothing. My pops was extremely present. He wasn't pops to send us and say, hey, you can go stay night. Like, he didn't believe in that. He wanted us right in front of him where he know what was going on. Now, anybody could come to our house and come hang out and stay the night because he knew he had that under control and nothing could be, nothing crazy. Nobody could handle us or do something. And he was always, real cognizant of that. But I mean, my pops, he didn't do it that way. But like when you talk about, my pops was a neighborhood mechanic. He never not had a car. Him fixing, he could do anything. He had this crazy train set that he built in our basement. So he was like extremely great with his hands. Like even to this day, like when I bought him his house, he built his own theater. He didn't want nobody to do it. He wanted to do it himself. Bought the materials, bought all the stuff, had me buy screens and projectors, and he did that. So I mean, like from that standpoint, he taught me how to change an oil. You change the change. Do an oil change. He let the oil get in my face, did that whole thing. Slide on here, let me show you this. And then, so like, I always knew how to do stuff like that. Like, fix different things around the house, do little stuff. Like, I don't do it now as much because I don't have to. But like, like when we was, I could change a tire and do all that type of stuff. He taught me literally how to do that stuff. But that's just, my pops. My pops is he's handyman extraordinaire, Renaissance man, whatever you want to call it. But he can do that.
Nah, that's solid, man. And for one, salute to your moms for putting the ball in your hands, man. That's dope. And then also to your pops for teaching you those different things. Like I said before we started recording, me growing up without a dad, I used to crack this joke like when we didn't know how to do stuff, like change the tire or change oil, like it'd be like, it's because we didn't have a dad. And in your view, it's like your dad taught you how to do those things. So that's dope. But I also want to know, man, like, you went through some traumatic things at a very young age. And I'm wondering, like, was there, like you said, you didn't really realize it at the time, but looking back, do you feel like those experiences like pushed you to really go hard at playing ball so you can get to the league and kind of be in a position to like, provide for your family and like put the family on your back? Did you have any like, angst to do that?
I think from everything that I experienced at that young age, that 12-year-old kid, I think it put me in a position to where it didn't matter what was going on. Like, it's not tougher than that. Like, you've been through this, bro. Like, look, this ain't that. Like, and then as I get older and older, like, 21, 22, 23, 24, and then, people become aware of your story and they saying this and they looking at you like, how you know what I'm saying? Like, you, like for you to be regular, normal, and you cool, you happy, you have a good time, like, you know what I'm saying? Like that means something. So I'm like, I always looked at it as like, and it wasn't even really the totality of it. I always honed in on my mom passing. That was the biggest thing out of it. It wasn't the whole threesome. It was that. It was like, if I could go through that, I go through anything. I would use that when like I'm talking about training camp, running suicides, working out, trying to, get ready, trying to do, when you're going through the hardest stuff of your life, you're on the treadmill and you ready to get off. And I'm like, it's you and your mind. This is what I'm telling myself in my mind. I ain't telling nobody else this. I'm telling myself this so that I don't quit. Because I'm like, you went through the hardest thing you could ever go through.
Yeah, that's really deep, bro. And I commend you for being able to channel that energy and turn it in, because that's really traumatic things and negative experiences you had, but you were able to channel that and turn it into something positive as you kind of pushed yourself throughout life, man. So definitely hats off to you for that. And kind of like piggybacking on that question. So, you out here, you got the ball in your hand. Your mom's was sounds like a local legend in the city. So when did you first know or believe that you could make it to the league? How old were you?
when I truly believed I could make it to the league. I mean, obviously I was like any other kid. Yeah, I'm going to the NBA. But when I truly believed I could make it to the NBA was my junior year. Going into it was like actually after my junior year, going into that summer of everything, you know, AAU, the camps, this and that. So like you start off, I went to the EP8 top 100 camp. And like me and Keon Doolin were kind of like, they didn't really give out an MVP back then, but we were the top 2 players there. Mm-hmm. So that was the start of it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I killed there and it was like, it wasn't really scout stuff. But then when you went to Nike camp, that was the big one. We went to Nike, and that particular year, like even the top players from Adidas had came. You know how they got the circus, but a couple of top players like Rashard Lewis, Stroman, who were really Adidas guys, they came to the Nike thing because they knew all of the top guys was going to be there. If you want to stay, keep your ranking and be ranked, you had to be there. So, and I came out of there. Al Harrington was the number 1 player. I was the number 2 player out of there. So after that, it was cemented. Like I went there and I tore shit up, and it was okay, like because like I'll never forget, because right after that camp, my AAU team, Illinois Warriors, we went to a little AAU tournament in Columbus, Ohio, and I'll never forget Larry Butler calling me to the room, my coach. He said, "Yo, brought me down to the room. I got to talk to you." And, you know, I come to his room and he like, "So this next game is about to be like the scouts from the Celtics, the Pistons." It was about 5 teams he ran off. I said, "Oh, nah." I said, "They coming to the game?" He like, "Yeah, they saying this, they say." I say, "So you know me, I'm 17. I leave the room. I'm like, I'm out. I'm going straight to the league." Like, you know what I'm saying? But like, I didn't go straight to the league, but like that was the moment in my heart where I truly knew, like, I'm going to the league. Like they checking for me, like I'm not about to screw this up. Like, and I was confident in myself from what I had did coming into the summer. I felt like, all right, I arrived, I got it now. And like all this is clicking at the same time. Like I'm getting ranked, I'm top 5. Like the scouts is talking about like, oh no, that's about to happen. Like this is the path. This is the way it goes. Like this is what I've seen people before me do, and I'm about to be in that same position. So that was when I truly believed, like, oh no, it ain't. Maybe it's a question whether it'll be straight out of high school or if I go one and done. But like I knew I was going. I knew that. When I got back to school senior, I walked around that bitch like I knew it. Like
you had a different walk to you when you pulled back up, but not
the whole city, like I feel like the city was mine. I feel like it wasn't nothing nobody could do with me. I had put the work in. I had proved everything I needed to prove to everybody. We didn't lose a game my junior or senior year in the whole city of Chicago, period. The games we lost were outside the city. We ran the city. Nobody fucked with us in the city, period.
Nah, that's dope, man. And one thing that I get from that is what you said, is that confidence. You had already been through stuff before. So it's like, scouts here to see me do something I've been working at. Like you was just prepared. But one thing as a basketball fan myself, I'm curious to know, like, back in the day, it wasn't the Instagrams. You couldn't really see, you know, the players and like interact with them online. So like, how was it pulling up to these spaces where it was like top 100? Like, were you surprised at some of the guys you seen? Like, oh, this really like they really got game in here. Like, what was that like?
Yeah, so I'll give you the perfect example. The year before that, I went to Adidas camp. I wasn't ready. I'm standing there. That's when I'm looking around like, oh, damn, like, okay, it's really like this. You know what I'm saying? It's like, certain people, certain names you see, they may or may not. Some live up to the name that they got, some don't. But it don't matter. When you go to them camps, you're gonna see who you're gonna see. It might not be the names you see, but it's gonna be official. And so for me, the year before when I went to Adidas and I was looking around like, damn, that was for me like, go home and get right. Because the next time you show up, it will not be like this. You know what I'm saying? And it was like, fortunately, I went home, I did the work, and I was able to do what I wanted to do the next year. I came back and I came in with that mentality because I was drawn off of that experience. Like, dudes ain't out here being passive, they going to get it. Like, you got to come out here like you one of them and go get it and let everybody know. Because once everybody, that's kind of how the counts go. Once you establish yourself, everybody go ahead and live with it. Like, okay, he one of them. We got to kind of defer to him a little bit. So once that happened, that was how my team was.
Nah, that's dope, bro. It's dope. So you got busy in high school, you went to college, went to the Paul, stayed there locally in the Chi, and then you get to the league. And, you know, a lot of us remember you, or we remember your entire career from what you did in Phoenix to what you did in LA to what you did with the Knicks. But I think that initial thing that the culture remembers is what you did in LA with the Clippers, man, because y'all was just kind of like trendsetters out there. So, but what we want to know is like, tell us like one of your favorite times of your career outside of those Clipper days. Like, what stands out to you most about your career?
Man, I think overall is that everywhere I went, man, I think like how you say, like I get asked a lot of time, like, what was your favorite team? Where did you have the best time? And it's so hard for me because to know me is like, I'm a person that I'm a part of the group. I'm gonna hang with people. We're gonna go to dinner. Like I get to know my teammates. I make friends. I got each team I ever played on, I got lifelong friends from. I got people that I still text and talk to and FaceTime with every day from each of those teams. So it's like for me, I think I take away from it is all of the relationships I built, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Throughout the time, like, even when you talk about this second act that we got with the Knuckleheads and everything we do, like, that's all a part of the relationships, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, me and Darius weren't all-stars. We're not Hall of Famers. We're not, getting our jerseys retired and everything, but the culture and people respect us because he, like me, he made great relationships and friendships on every team that he went to. And we were always good dudes. We didn't think we were, you know what I'm saying? Like, obviously, when you're young, you compete and you have like, I'm better than you, but like, we didn't act like we were better humans or better people. We treated everybody the way we wanted to be treated. And in hindsight, we didn't know it, but we were building an enormous amount of like, credibility and putting a lot in the bank of something that we didn't even know we were doing, just of goodwill. Because once your career ends, you see it come around. When you go to call somebody, you see how hard they go for you to help you with something. Well, they don't have to. Yep. That's not their job no more. You're out of the league. But because you were good and a decent person to them and you treated them the way you want to be treated, they will help you. That's what they're there for. And they will go the extra distance when you've shown that you are a good person. That's just how the world works.
Yeah, that's solid, man.
Go ahead, Justin.
No, I was going to just say something real quick, man. I said that's super solid because I think that relationship aspect is very important. And I know probably you and Darius talk about this all the time, but I know y'all both got to think that y'all game would translate in the league right now, just the way that y'all played.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. B-Nas would be so crazy out there. He'll be a 5-man, like literally everything. So he'll be ridiculous out there. And then obviously I'll be able to play like 4 positions because they play small ball now and just shoot and defend. So, but I mean, I enjoy it. I mean, we love watching it. We love being able to still be connected to the league and to the current guys. And with the pod, being able to go out there and talk to the people. And like I say, that the only reason we're able to exist is because of those relationships. And we forever indebted to even the new players that that's coming along and they learning who we are and may not have known, but like they accepting us and embracing us and coming on the show and know what the show is and mess with it. So I mean, that's why we able to continue to do it.
Now that's really dope, bro. And I wanted to get your thoughts on something, especially kind of like what's going on right now. Like we saw this week, the owner of the Miami Dolphins, he gets fined for the whole tampering situation and all of that. And a lot of people are upset talking about, well, maybe they should take his team from him because he's cheating and he's impacting the integrity of the game. And you play for a franchise and an owner who I don't think anybody's ever had their team taken, with the exception of Donald Sterling. So after that happened, like, what were your thoughts on them taking the team? Was that something that you ever thought you would see happen, or was you just kind of like blown away like the rest of us?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, we hadn't seen that happen. So I don't know if anybody thought they would see that happen, for whatever reason. So, I mean, when it happened, I was like, I was obviously the video recordings or the recordings they had, that was like, whoa, like, what I'm saying? Like I say, like when I was there, man, I was there for 4 years. But I was never the type of guy to like, if we, obviously all teams have functions, you got to go to this with the owner or this or that. I'm not that guy in the forefront trying to be, I'm going to do my time, I'm going to shake hands, be respectful, and then I'm going to fall back here, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna do it. And as soon as that little time limit is up that we can get out of there, I ain't going to be the first one. I ain't going to be the first one to push. I'm going to be like 3rd or 4th, though. I was real tactful about that. I'm just, I'm saying? I'm just going to chill back here and stay, play the background. So for me, I never experienced anything too crazy with Donald Sterling, but, obviously you hear stories and like while we were playing there, you heard different things in the papers about, his buildings and his tenants complaining about different things. Like we definitely saw and heard little things about that. But outside of that, it wasn't somebody who, you know, he wasn't like a Mark Cuban, somebody who was intimate with the players and really like around. So we didn't really deal with him that much like that. And I feel like he got more, and he was trying to do that more. That was after we left, when he tried to try and be around the players. When that was like when Baron Davis, Nell Coutinho, and those guys got there. But we didn't experience any of that.
Got you. I got you. You got something, Jesse?
Oh no, I was just gonna say, man, it's just crazy to think about. Like, you know, like you said, you wasn't intimate with him, so you didn't know. But I mean, glad they got him up out of there though. But even just you know, thinking about what you got going on now with the podcast, man, I think it's super dope because, like you said, you know, you and Darius, y'all wasn't like, you know, Hall of Famers and this, that, and the third, but what y'all doing is leaving an impact on the culture, even to this day, with the conversations that y'all having through the pod. And with Darius also being from St. Louis, where I'm from, I think that's super dope. You from the Chi, two Midwest guys, I think that's dope what y'all doing. But what's that experience been like? And did that just happen organically where y'all was sitting around talking like we should start a pod, or like how did that like come about?
So I'll tell you how it happened, right? I don't do this a lot, so when he see this, he would be surprised. I'm gonna give credit to one Chris Bernard. He's now he's at the Players Tribune with us, and I first met him when I was with the New York Knicks. He worked for the Knicks for I don't know how long, a lot of years. I can't call him right out, but he worked for the Knicks for a long time. And my whole time there, my first 4 years, and when I came back to the team, he was with the Knicks. So when I came back, that was my last stint in the league. And then I ended up retiring, and not retiring, just going to work with the Pistons with Stan. But so while I'm working with the Pistons, this was the first year of the current show, The Chi. You know how they got The Chi, the show on Showtime?
Yeah, that's my show.
The show was about to drop, and they wanted to, they were doing some type of partnership with the Players Tribune, and they wanted to do a piece about an athlete that was from Chicago that made it to the pros, and it was called A Letter to My Younger Self. So Chris hollered at me like, yo, you perfect for this, you know what I'm saying? You embody what the Chicago kid is about, you know what I'm saying? You went to college there, then you made the league, blah, blah, blah. And so we did it or whatever, right? So I did the Letter to My Younger Self. And it was really, really real well received, and it was crazy. Like, you know what I'm saying? I remember Eric Spoelstra, you know what I'm saying? Coach Spo, I played with him with the Heat for 1 year. He was like, dude, he hit me. He called me like, man, I just read the article, man. I'm gonna read it to the team in practice. Like, dude, like this was like, he was like, this is really inspiring for guys. They need to think, you know, a lot of guys need to see this. So that got really, really well received, and it went on and on. And then so meanwhile, D was going through stuff he was going through. And so, you know, we always been in contact and stuff. So finally, I got D to move down to Florida. So he moved down to Orlando with me. So now, you know, I'm telling him, I'm like, yo, bro, when you get ready, you know what I'm saying? You need to tell your story. Like, cause like everywhere, like obviously, like I'm still in the league. I'm not playing, but I'm working with the Pistons. For 2 years, I was a director of player development. Then I went to be a pro scout. So I'm in the arena night to night with all the teams. All of our peers, to a man, like people that he played with, people that know him, like, man, what's up with D? Give me his number. I want to call him. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm telling him, like, bro, people ask about you, know what I'm saying? But he like kind of like, he off the grid. He don't want to deal with nothing. So he like that. So I finally, you know, he get to a point to where like, all right, he ready to do the story. So like now he does a story with the Players Tribune. And it was like, it ended up being called, what was this? It ended up being called, Where the Fuck Has Darius Miles Been? And so like, but his story like went crazier than mine as far as like the response from the players and like, you know what I'm saying, what you go through and da-da-da-da-da. I remember when I'm sitting there, like the article had dropped, like I'm sitting here about to watch, you know how like the games come on Wednesday on ESPN or Turner or whatever on Thursday. I can't remember which one I'm watching. About to watch the Clippers play. They playing next after the current games on, you know, they're the West Coast game. So the game on, I'm watching the game before the game. Phone ring, Chris Paul called me. Now this before they about to play, he called me like, man, I just got your number from Pease. He like, man, I need you to give me D Miles' number, man. I just read his article. I was sitting here in the pregame and I started reading. I read the whole thing. Like, bro, I just want to reach out to him and holler at him. Like, all right, cool. shoot him the number. About 10, 15 years later, he ran on the thing and we watching me. I called you, like, bro. I called you now, like, bro, CP just called, like, you know what I'm saying? He read the article this time, third. He like, for real? He like, yeah, he asked me to give you his number. I gave him your number, whatever. He said he gonna hit you after the game. Show his shit, he hit him after the game, talk to him. And so like that went real crazy. But like I was the guest editor on that article. And so while we were doing that, and the whole time we were doing the article, it was like over a period of time, in like a week or two, that they did put the whole thing together. And like Chris and the people that was doing, they always like, they were seeing the chemistry. Like we best friends. We've been tight since, like I met D when he was a freshman, a ninth grader, and I was 11. I was a 10th or 11th grader. And so, you know what I'm saying? Like when he played on A, we played at AAU together. So he would have to come from St. Louis and stay in Chicago. He would stay with me in my house. So we've been tight since back then, you know what I'm saying? So then it was crazy that we go and get drafted to the same team. Like I was his host when he came to visit DePaul, all of that shit. Like we got something crazy as you can't make it up. So it's like they seeing and experiencing that. They like, man, y'all need to do something. Like y'all chemistry is crazy. Like, so, you know, again, giving Chris Bernard his credit, like he kind of came up with this whole thing, like the podcast aspect of it. And like, we went back and forth on all of that, and then we came to Knuckleheads and all of that. But like that was really how that kind of roundabout came together, because those two articles, if y'all haven't seen them or read them yet, like y'all, like they were some good articles, and that's what really got everything going.
Yeah, that's really dope, man. And I've read yours. I don't think I ever read Darius' joints. I got to go check his out for sure, man.
This was crazy, man. But I think like now us sitting here, and we've talked about like us sitting here 22, how many years later, 22 years later from being drafted to the Clippers, right? And like really doing, like we played 2 years together, bro. Like people, it seems like we played like 4 or 5. I was in the Clippers for 4 years, but like this really lived for 2 years. You know what I'm saying? Like that was like when it was like at its craziness, like, and to see and know, like go back, now it's 2022. And like throughout my whole career, I had so many different dudes that get on my team. Nate Robinson, like, bro, like, man, we used to be going crazy, like all these dudes. And then you see different videos. I've seen a video of the team that beat LeBron and ESPN. They doing this and they won. Like, it's like, this is crazy. Like to know that we, like you say, there was no Instagram. There was no instant. We could see what's happening. We would hear things, but you never saw. And like to look back now, and you see them pulling up Unearthed and all these different videos, and you seeing this, like, yo, we really had it lit. Like we used to know it was lit, because we went from not ever being seen to like when you turn on, like me and D say we missed the 106 in Park, because you in Park, you're gonna see them Clippers jerseys now. Like they was in that video. Like we became that culture team, that young team that people wanted to identify. I mean, we wasn't champions, we wasn't winning, but we was cool. We was out there looking like baby AIs with all the ice. We was swaggy, big baggy clothes. We was hip hop. So and then we were young. We were the only team in the league that had 5, 6 guys under 20. 18-year-old. 19, 1 18, and like 2 20-year-olds. Like we the team, like it's like that everywhere now. But that was not like, we had grown men with kids our age we were playing against. Like,
nah, man. Nah, that's solid, man. I love to hear that story, because I mean, shit, even I would have thought y'all was together for at least 4 to 5 years, but the way the impact lasted. But it's crazy to know that it was only 2 years. But just as I mentioned in the beginning, man, like that era, like it just had a effect on the culture, man. And it'll live forever. So why we started this podcast is to give you your flowers, man. So, salute to you, salute to y'all for, having an impact on the culture and continuing to have that with the podcast, man. But definitely want to get into what we really came here today for, is to talk about fatherhood, man. So if you had to describe yourself as a dad, who would you say Q Richardson is as a father?
I would say I'm very similar to my pops, how he was. Like I lead by example. That's why I continue to work so hard and show, so that my kids see that example, that they see that, daddy got up and got to it. Like I saw my pops, and like by that vision, that lets me know, you know what I'm saying, that I'm showing them the way to do it, as well as, teaching them and saying different things and showing them. But I feel the best way is like you actually doing it. It's hard for me to, it would have been hard for me to look at my pops trying to instill all this hard work ethic into me if he not doing it. So like for me, it's like I show them by getting up every day. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like my kids, you know, the younger ones are 8, 6, and 5. And it's like they into Roblox, right? So they come to me every damn day asking for these Robux money and stuff. I say, yo, this is real money, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? These things is real. And they like every time, like, so then they be about to cry, like, why you want to go and get on the plane? You got to go to work. I be like, you want some damn Robux, right? I say, Dad got to have money to give you Robux. Like, I got to work hard. Like, Robux ain't free. Y'all live in a world where you think it's free. I say, when you get older, you're going to understand that you got to pay for that. I say, you can't pay for it if you ain't got no job.
Nah, that's really dope, bro. And I go through the same thing because my oldest he's 12, he'll be 13 this year. So he's been into the whole Roblox thing for a minute. And then my daughter, she turned 7 a couple of months ago. So she's playing now as well. And it's always, oh, let me buy this for me, or give me this little gift card. And I'm like, hey man, you said buy it. I mean, that costs money. So all right, what we gonna do? Let me show you how to make some money. Let me show you what we do out here so that we can buy these things, because they don't just come free.
I have to put them into a position where now you have to earn that, because now I've explained and you understand that this is money. This is free. This ain't about to be an everyday thing, and you're gonna have to do something to show me that you deserve this too. What did you do today? What did you do to help this house, to help your brother, to help your sister, to help your mama, or somebody, or your auntie, or whatever? What did you do to deserve that you get an A on your report card, or your schoolwork? Did you knock out stuff without being asked? Did you do chores? Did you do this? What did you do? Because I like my house, so that's why I say I was disciplined in it. Like my wife commends me on my cleanliness of the bathroom because of the way my house was. I'm telling you, dog, we had 2 bathrooms. The front bathroom was for the boys and any guests, and then the back bathroom was for my mom and my sister, and nobody couldn't go in there. And it was like, if Pop saw, like, if we cut our hair, we did anything, if we did anything in that front bathroom and it wasn't spotless, like my pops wasn't somebody who was gonna deal with you later. If he got up at 3 for work and he saw that you getting up at 3 and you about to clean it right now, everything is right now. Like when I played AAU, like I used to be like, all right, cool, Butler gonna be here about 3. I supposed to do the dishes. I'm gonna just wait and just rap. Teammates in here washing, I'm rinsing. We doing it together. I'm not going until it's done. That's how my pops was. I that's how I learned. That's how it was. Like, you're not playing with me. You know what I'm saying?
So with hold on, Jesse. So with that though, because I did read, especially in your Players Tribune letter, I think one of the stories was you had just like got done busting somebody's ass in DePaul.
2 team in America and had to fucking shovel snow.
Yeah.
Right after, before I went back to the little get down in the party. Yes.
So then
the homies in the neighborhood walk past me like, nah.
They just watch you on TV busting ass.
I just saw you, like, no, man. I say, what? Look, I'm like, no, I'm about to go back to the joint. They're like, you supposed to be? I say, no, I'm about to go back. They like, oh, come on, bro. Like, yes, straight up.
So do you take that same, I guess, strictness with your kids when it comes to being clean too? Like, are you like, oh, I got to have it clean right now? Or do you give them a little more leeway?
They have a little more leeway, but if we agreed to do something, I have woken them up. I have at different times turned into my pops real quick. Like I seen myself do that. No, we doing this right now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's not like every single time. Like my pops was like, he was amazing. It was one way or no way. That was just it. Like I'm a little more lenient, but I have turned it to him a time or two.
How often do you stop and think like, man, I'm just like my pops, man? Like, this just hit you in the middle.
Like I thought, like it'd be like after I walked out of the room, like I might come in there, like, cause like my pops thing when we was growing up used to be lights on and, you know, light bill, and then like you know, when I was getting taller, like touching on the wall, putting your hands on the wall, like you walking on the wall. So like those 2 things is something that be killing me. I come through the crib, like every room got a TV on, every room got the lights on. I'm like, and that's when I just started ranting. Not to nobody in particular. That's what made me know that I'm being my father, because I'm just talking loud, so everybody keeps like, why is all the TVs on? All the lights on and stuff. And it's like somebody's standing here, but they not. Everybody kind of spread out, and I'm just being loud enough for them to hear me.
Yeah. No, that's dope, man. And one thing I'm gonna say, even kind of going back to this Roblox thing, whatever y'all talking about, I ain't mentioned this before. So I started the platform because I grew up without my dad, but I don't have any children yet. So like I have no idea what the hell y'all talking about when y'all talking about that Roblox.
You'll see soon. It's like a virtual reality game where they build shit.
Okay.
Nah, this is how I explain it, bro. It's like, remember at a certain point of our growing up, right? Once we got, I ain't gonna say Atari, but like when we got Nintendo and Nintendo 6, arcades was out.
Yeah,
Arcade folk. They found a way to get their quarters back, bro.
Yes.
They made a way, and then they did it tenfold. They the whoever created this is evil. I'm not lying to you, because no kid is gonna sit on there and just play and never want Robux, because all of the coolest things require Robux, and everybody else is running around with all these. It's not like you don't see none of the cool stuff. They're gonna see it in front of their face, and they're gonna be like, I don't care. They got this and this.
Oh man,
yeah. It's like, think of like creating a
quarters back.
Creating a player on, if you play 2K or something, Jesse, you want like the Jordans or whatever, the extra stuff on 2K. That's what they doing on Roblox. Okay. It's like you want all this extra stuff.
VC points.
Yes,
all
VC
Duty,
bucks, all that.
2K, everybody figured out the way to get their quarters back.
Yes, that's a perfect analogy, actually.
They give them tenfold. You got to put 25 cents, or maybe like, if it was a dope game, they might make you pay like $0.75. Man, they Robux cost $9.99. Like VC be costing like $99.
All right. No, that's crazy. Definitely sounds stressful, man. I want to get into this, man. You just celebrated your 10-year anniversary, right, with your wife, man. So like, I'm pretty sure that's a journey in navigating, your relationship with your wife, having kids. So like, any advice on like how to keep the spice, the funness going while trying to navigate, being a host of this big podcast while managing the kids? Like, what's that like for you?
Man, always trying to find like some little escape time for us, and trying to like we went 6 days, just me and her, and got to do that. Even when we here in Florida, sometimes just try and find a day to go for a staycay and stay for a day to be away. My sister lives here in Orlando, so then I got my best friend Rio D Miles. We got like a nice little community. My nephew is here, so it's like we can lean on each other to try and do different things. But, yeah, man, like you say, 10 years. Marriage is not easy, bro. It is a lot of work. Like we do couples therapy, marriage counseling, and all of that stuff. And I think all of those things have really helped, because I wasn't like, I don't know if any, if you were when you got married. We didn't do the premarital counseling like to the book and do all of that the way you supposed to. So you find yourself going to marriage counseling to actually do those things that you should have did there. And those, like all of those different steps along the way continue to help. And I mean, it's still, to me, it's like a constant thing, because it's like, it's a never ending story. Like I know my wife for over 20 years now, and vice versa. And I feel like we still learning each other and learning new things, because we growing and changing, and like, we got to continue to, be able to pivot and keep each other excited and stuff like that, and keep each other happy.
Yeah, no, those are great points, bro. And I think like we did before we got married, we did like a couple of days. I think the pastor that married us required us to go to like 3 days of couples counseling before. So it wasn't really nothing.
That's not really, you know what I mean? Like we did too, and you in that, like, I don't want to hurt her feelings. I'm gonna say,
yeah,
like, we didn't dig into nothing, but like, you're not doing nothing there. Like that's what we was at. Just same thing. The requirements by the pastor to get this.
Yeah, but I wanted to ask you though, because I know, you were in the league for what, like 13, 14 years, right? So how when you retired, did that have an impact on your relationship negatively or positively? Because you were locked in for 13 years doing one thing, and you might have been married while you was doing that, but you had your career going, and then you lose your career. So how did that change you and your relationship at all?
So we didn't get married until toward the end of my career.
Okay.
And I didn't have any kids. I had my stepson, Caleb. He's 18 now. So I had him kind of like for like, what was it, like a couple years of it, maybe 2 or 3 years here in Orlando. And then he went with me when we moved to Detroit, when I was being a director of player development. So For me, I think the biggest difference that I think I've kind of, you know, observed and looked at, like it was twofold. So like when a lot of people when they stop playing ball or they end their career, like they kind of sit at home and be, you know, sitting at home and away from it and detached and like kind of feeling some type of way. So for me, like I say, my last year in the NBA was my 13th season. I got cut by the Magic after training camp, right? So I'm thinking like, cool, I'll get cut, I'll clear waivers, I'll sign with somebody else, and I'll be double dipping. I'll be getting what I was supposed to get and be getting the minimum on the side. I'm like, cool, what is wrong with this plan, right? Don't get signed. Week go by, 2 weeks, month, 2 months. So like I think all of those things that you deal with being like out of the league, I think I was dealing with it right then because I was going through frustrations, being mad, like, fuck, like I ain't getting, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, that was going on. My wife was pregnant with my daughter, my first child. So I was like, the times where I could have slipped and went dark and did all that stuff, like I had that to really be excited about and be going through that for the first time. And so that kind of like those two things happened at the same time, kind of like equalized each other off. And so I still was doing my thing, getting mad and watching games, not wanting to watch that thing. But then so like at the end of the season, I'm like, cool, it's over with. I ain't about to get picked up. So we gonna go rent a crib in LA and stay out there for a couple of weeks. So I remember it was like, because the season ends always, like my birthday is April 13th. The season ends on the 14th, 13th, 12th, 16th, 17th, 18th, every season, never fails. So I'm like, cool, it's pretty much over now. I could go spend my birthday out in LA. We'd kick it out there. Go rent a crib, get out there on the 13th, go out, party. 14th, my phone ring at like 6 a.m. It's 2 days left in the regular season. My agent is on the phone like, yo, the Knicks want to work you out and try and bring you in. I'm like, I'm like, of course I'm going to do it. But like, I done just got here, had the crib, bought it up for like 10 days. I'm like, all right, cool. So now I got to figure out, they want me to come to Portland. They wanted me to come to side of Portland and work out because they was on the road. So then I get up instantly, like, all right, let me go hit these little hills and run this out. Right. So, because I'm like, I wasn't thinking I was going to work out. So then while I'm running, he calls me again, like, yo, they're going to send a scout to LA to just see you work out. Can you get you a gym in LA? I'm like, yeah, I can find a gym somewhere. I call a couple people, give me a gym. So then I keep running. So then he called me back again, like, so they said, forget it. If Q says he's in shape, then we believe him because, you know, I've been there before they got a relationship with you. Like, we just going to fly you in to New York tomorrow. So I'm like, all right, I stopped running, turn around, walk back home. So I go play those last two games, the last game of the season, then the playoffs with them. So I feel like that was my little going through all of that. And even when I got signed, I was looking at it like, this probably it. You know what I'm saying? Like, because it didn't happen before that. So I'm like, whatever. But like, I think that was me going through that. Then right after that next year, when I'm still waiting for a call, Stan Van Gundy calls me and asks me to come be with the Pistons. So I never had that lapse of time where I was just like flailing out there, not really, you know what I'm saying? And then, like I say, the other part of that is that like I got so many friends, dog. I got so many peers, and some guys still play, some don't. But it's like I don't miss the real camaraderie because I jab with all my partners like that. You know, some take in Florida, some we see when we go different places. And then once the pod came along, that really just made it like, I'm in it. You know what I'm saying? Between the pod, between my friends. And then I do broadcast for the Magic. So I'm in the arena, I'm in it. I'm like, I can still bring my kids to the game and they can be in it and enjoy and see and experience. So like for me, I'm blessed in the sense that I didn't have to be down in the dumps that way. And then I think the last thing is that the way I was raised, bro, like my pops and sister, like they never like even when I got good in basketball, when everybody started coming around, I started getting interviewed, my pops looked at me and said, you still my son. I don't give a damn about none of this. None of this mean nothing to me. And I'm not about to treat you no different. So like I say that to say because some people, when they get that, they family and friends start treating them different. And that's when it go here. It never got a chance to go here for me because my pops humbled me at every step. And he always let me know that you my son and you're going to act the right way. And I don't give a damn if you can make a basket. That don't make you think you could talk or act or treat somebody worse. You're not better than nobody because you could damn play basketball. Like that's great, but that don't make you like you You don't get to talk down or treat nobody like so. I never got that part of it. You know what I'm saying? That never came with part of my package. So when it was time to let it go, I let it go.
Yeah, no, I definitely appreciate your transparency when it comes to just that overall story and that journey and the ups and the downs of it all. And I love the perspective of your dad, right? Like, I think it seems like the way he was with you kind of just instilled that discipline. It instilled that hard work. But I'm curious, like, has there ever been a point where he's loosened up and just giving you flowers? Like, look, son, like, you did your thing. I'm proud of you. Like, or is it just always that hard, that tough love?
Nah, he's, I mean, you know, obviously since he's gotten older, he has those different moments where he's just like, you know, he come in town, we hanging out on the patio, might be having a drink or something, and he always go out of his way to let him know that he appreciate, you know, everything that I do for him, and, you know, him and my stepmom, and how, you know, the house and just how everything is taken care of, and they don't have to worry about nothing. He say, you know, I don't never want you to think that me and Marilyn take things for granted. Like, we over appreciate everything, and we know all that you do, and, you know, like, we appreciate it. So I mean, you know, I know my pops do, but for him to go out his way to say that obviously means a lot to me to hear it. But I know he appreciates it. He's that's just who he is. Him and Marilyn.
That's really dope, man. And yeah, you know, it seems like you guys have always had a great relationship, and you continue to cultivate and have that great relationship today, which I'm sure even pours into him being a granddad and, you know, putting that with your kids too. So I'm really happy to hear that, man. And one thing we wanted to ask you about too is, you know, being a former NBA player, you know, the internet was going crazy the other day when we saw Bron working out with Bronny and Bryce over at the Lakers training facility. So from your perspective, like, how crazy do you think it is that there's a possibility that LeBron might play with his son? And we all watched LeBron come up from, I graduated high school the same year Bron did. So I've been a fan since he was in high school. And now to see that he got a son that's a senior this year too, who could hit the league in a couple of years, like, how crazy is that?
It's insane. It's insane to think that that's even, you know, feasible or possible to happen. And I think that you obviously have to salute and give LeBron his flowers for being able to even be in play for this, you know. And I think that's, you know, obviously hats off to him being an unbelievable pro. And I mean, not just being an unbelievable pro, but like the way you got to be able to take care of your body and the commitment and the things that you had to sacrifice to be in this position. Like, he had to sacrifice a lot to be able to stay this healthy. He couldn't do what everybody else was doing as far as guilty pleasures, partying, drinking, hanging out, eating different things, and still be at this position that he's in. And the way that you know, he's invested in his body and put money into his health, I think all of those things is like kudos to him. And he's still going this strong and being this dominant and this much of a factor at this point. Because I think a lot of the people you saw that make it to this point, they weren't as dominant, weren't as much of a factor. Like, he moves the balance of power when he moves. At this point, everybody else wasn't doing that 20 years, 19, 20 years, and they were still who they were, but they weren't still as impactful as they have been. I think for him to still be at that level to whatever move he makes can endanger the balance of power. That's phenomenal.
Yeah, no, I think it's dope. I want to see it, man. That'll definitely be a great, you know, moment for Dear Fathers and some content for us if it ever happens. So, you know, hopefully one day we'll get them on the pod or something too as well. But no, I think it would be dope. And just, you know, thinking about this conversation, man, I just want to salute you from, you know, being 12 and going through those different traumatic things, through, you know, making it to the league, having a dad that was around, you know, now being a dad yourself, man. I think, you know, your story and your journey is something that's, you know, that's super impactful, and it's been, you know, therapeutic for me today to have this conversation with you. And again, as I mentioned, you know, I don't have any children yet, so a lot of times I use these conversations as just ways to learn from the guests, to learn from James. So for you, like, you know, through your journey in fatherhood, do you have like a favorite moment that you really just step back and like, man, like, you know, I'm really doing this dad thing well?
Man, it's every day for me, bro. Like, last night we got back from vacation, and we got in late, and, you know, I got up early this morning and went up and just like woke my kids up and was just excited. Like, that's, for me, that's the biggest part. Like, I think returning, like coming back in the house, like, cause my kids give me the return of a king. I don't know what's going on. When I come in, Dad, Daddy. They come running. Crew's gonna jump up on me. Mackenzie, they gonna, like, for me, that does it for me every single time. It never gets old. Like, it doesn't matter how long I've been gone. It seems like I've been gone for like a month. I could have just been gone a day, and they're gonna do the same thing. And like, for me, that never gets old. Like, I like just doing those little things, like being able to like put them in the shower at night and do those type of things, put PJs on them and then tuck them in bed and say prayers and different things like that. Like, I feel like that's something that you know, it's a small thing, but it adds up to a lot when you're able to do it over and over and over and over, and your kids grow up and they remember those things. And like, you know what I'm saying? I want to be able to create the life where like my kids had memories. Every summer we did this. Every day my dad would do this, or my mom would do this, or we had this that we did. And I want them to be able to, like, because, you know, like I grew up a lot of times, I didn't have those big stories about crazy trips. Like, you know what I'm saying? My pops, that's why I salute my pops. We went to Mississippi every single year for Christmas. Like, we went from, not for Christmas, for the summer. We would go for like 2 weeks. Now, this is Mississippi. We went to Greenwood, you know what I'm saying, LaFleur County. Like, it's barely one movie theater there. It ain't like, it was the biggest shit ever to us. The best shit. And it was like, wasn't nobody gonna tell their story. And I'm not telling my Mississippi story like it wasn't as good as yours. Like, you know what I'm saying? So for me, I know that it don't matter where I take my kids and how good or bad or how, you know, it's not about that for me. Like, yeah, sometimes it might be somewhere it's like nice, but like, that's not the point. It's the point to them that we together and we doing this as a family, and y'all get to remember these times and remember these moments that we spending together. And that's what it's really about. It's not about how much a damn trip costs or where we going, but it's about us going together.
Yeah, that's really dope, bro. And I agree with you, man. There's no greater feeling than, you know, coming home and having your kids run up to you. And, you know, same thing. I went to the gym this morning. I was going for an hour, man. But as soon as I hit the door, Daddy,
Exactly.
like, they running up to you, man. And when they little, you know, they just, you a hero to them. And that's just the best feeling ever, man. So I definitely agree with you there. And then, you know, tapping into this, you know, we got 2 more segments for you. This one of them is something special we do with all the dads we talk to, man. And it's a segment we call Dear Fathers. And what we do in this segment is, if you could write a hypothetical letter to your pops, starting with Dear Fathers, what would you say to him?
Man, I would just say, dear Father, I would just say, man, I've told him this. I appreciate everything. The discipline you taught me, the work ethic, the way you taught me to love my siblings, and to the way that I learned how to be a father from you, but also the way that you taught me how to be, you know, a husband to my wife, and the way to go about those things, and the way to handle that whole situation, from me being a pro player and having access to certain things, the way that he taught me how to navigate those things, and just the advice he would give me was golden. And I'll never forget it. And I would just say, just thank you for everything, man. He gave me so much game, so much intellect, and so much insight. And it wasn't always from him speaking. It was a lot of times from just watching and learning from him. So just thank you for everything, Pop.
No, that's solid, man. I'm pretty sure, you know, as you say, he's proud of you, man. I love to hear the story of you growing up with your dad and the things he was able to instill. Because like I said, I didn't have that experience. So seeing that, how it's impacted your life and the things that you're doing, man, I think that's super dope. And, you know, I just appreciate this conversation and your energy ever since we first connected, man. I think it's been great. So it was good to hear your story. But before we get out of here, man, we want to kind of lighten it up a little bit. At the end of the conversations, we do these rapid fire questions, man. Okay. 5 seconds or less. You know, you tell us, you know, each, you know, this or that. I'll kind of kick it off, man. We'll kick it off with a basketball question. KD or Larry Bird?
KD.
Okay. Whiskey or tequila?
Tequila.
Tequila? Ah, man, I'm a whiskey guy, man. James, you a tequila guy, ain't you?
I'm becoming a tequila guy now.
Okay.
I used to be whiskey, but I'm a tequila guy right now.
Okay, cool. All right, 90s R&B or 2000s hip hop? Which one you would choose?
I'm gonna go 90s R&B.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with that. All right, now here's a question. We kind of touched on this just for a tad bit earlier. The Shy or Snowfall? 2 hit TV shows right now.
Snowfall.
Okay.
Sorry, Chicago, but
Both to
D-Ray on Snowfall. So you feel me? D-Ray.
Okay. I see the tie-in. Okay, cool. All right, AI or Steph Curry?
Ooh, that's tough. I'm gonna go AI right now. Steph's still playing, man. When he probably retire, I'm gonna have to say Steph. But I gotta
Come
go.
on, man. 4 rings. You know what I'm saying?
Hey,
like,
don't disrespect Chuck, man. Don't disrespect Chuck.
I go with nostalgia right now. I'm sticking to my '90s thing. I'm gonna go with Chuck.
I feel it, man. And the last one, man, the best NBA player to come out the shot.
The best to come out the shot. I gotta go with. Isaiah D. Wade. Let me make sure I'm thinking. Yeah, it's like
it's too hard to pick.
Yeah, for me it's them two. I'm gonna say 1A, 1B. Isaiah.
Can't go wrong with either one of them.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with either one of them, man. No, that's solid, man. No, we definitely appreciate your time today, man. And also before we get out of here, let the people know what you got coming up next, and then how they can follow you on social media.
Man, we got me and D Miles got season 10 coming soon. Knuckleheads Podcast, same as always. Favorite stories from your favorite players. You can follow me at QRich on either Twitter or Instagram, QRICH, easy. And yeah, man, just continuing to keep it moving, man. Moving the culture, doing what we doing. I'll be doing broadcasts with the Magic this season and some stuff with, the NBA. So just keeping busy, man.
That's dope, man. And y'all might, y'all look like, I don't know if y'all gonna make the playoffs down in Orlando, but y'all gonna be better this year. I give y'all that. We got some good additions. We got the young boy Paolo, the number one pick. Number one pick always good. So that's, we're gonna be exciting. I'm just looking forward to getting back to it and having something to build on. So I think the team and the organization made a lot of positive moves, and we got some guys getting healthier that wasn't healthy last year. So I'm definitely excited about the Magic this season. Yeah, that's dope, bro.
Yeah, I'm excited about the season as well, man. I'll be checking y'all out, seeing what they got going on. And like I said earlier, me and James just big NBA basketball fans in general, man. So we appreciate you coming on today. It's been a great conversation. Thanks for joining the Dear Fathers podcast.
Yes, sir, man. Appreciate y'all having me. Definitely.
I'm Aya Temeti. I'm sure you've heard the saying, but it really does take a village. That's why I chose Kinley, a financial services company proudly built for Black America. Together, we create solutions. Go to BEKINLY.com to download the app today.
Standard data rates from your wireless service provider may apply. The Kinley deposit account is established by Central Bank of Kansas City, member FDIC. The Kinley Visa debit card is issued by Central Bank of Kansas City. Consult the deposit account agreement and fee schedule for complete details.
Time is money and I'm working on that richer meal. It's up to me to drop the ball like I'm finna.